Should go ahead and start?
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
I'll just walk in.
All right. Go ahead. You want to start or? Okay. Welcome everyone to our summer webinar series hosted by AAPBS, Association of Asia Pacific Business Schools, and Peregrine Global Services. So I'd like to give the word to my colleague Kayla to kick it off.
Hi everybody, welcome to AAPBS 2021 webinar series hosted by Peregrine Global Services. This is the second of the 4 series, and last time we discussed the soft skills, leadership and capabilities, and career readiness. And let me introduce brief about AAPBS before we go on with the second. We are AAPBS, Association of Asia Pacific Business Schools, and we have 139 members throughout the globe, not just in the Asia Pacific. And our contents are Asia Pacific centric. So those who want to collaborate with the schools in Asia Pacific, or those who want to learn the contents and business models and education models of Asia Pacific region, they are our members. And we started in year 2004, and we celebrated 15 years a couple of years ago, and we are aimed to go beyond further. And we we wishes to become a hub for the database in Asia Pacific region, so that not only the members but also people outside the world, outside the region, who need a database or who needs context for the Asia Pacific region schools, organizations, and institute, and we hope that they come to us. And if they need any data, the quality data and research data, and they come to us, ask for it. And we provide several events throughout the year. We normally provide 2 offline major conferences, and because of this COVID-19, these are online, but we hope go back to the offline pretty soon, probably next year. We provide action learning, research consulting projects, and deans program, mentoring programs for deans and aspiring deans. And we also provide case workshops, and we compile and accumulate case journals. So if you become a member, you could have access to all of our cases that we've been collected from 2015. And we also provide doing business in Asia programs, that is field study programs, and it could be credit or non-credit. It could be 2 days, it could be like 1 month. It's customized and tailored to fit your school's needs. And our upcoming conference is in November 12th, and it's at the Chiang Mai University, Thailand. We hope to have it as offline and online, but it seems more likely to be online. But we want all of you here to join as participants at our conference, since it's free conference. Normally our conferences are paid fees for non-members, and we give discounts to members, but this could be last opportunity to attend this quality program for free. So please remember our dates. And let me introduce our speakers, who is Alima Jamiyasurin, who is the Director of Asia Pacific Operators at Peregrine Global Services. Alima?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Kayla, for that nice introduction. And I'd like to welcome everyone to this discussion on evaluating and assessing soft skills, which are competencies that are most important to success, not only in work, but also in life. And I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and lives and coming to participate in today's workshop. As Kayla kindly introduced, we are bringing this summer webinar series to you in partnership with the AAPBS, and we work together to help provide the business schools with resources and services to enhance quality assurance and business education for our partner institutions located all over Asia. And AAPBS has membership not only in Asia, but also outside of Asia Pacific region. As Kayla introduced me, my name is Alima Jamiyasurin, and I'm running this webinar out of my Tokyo office in Japan. and I'm in charge of the Asia and Asia Pacific operations of Peregrine Global. Peregrine Global, for those of you who may not be as familiar with us, is an organization committed to developing values-based leaders and impacting the quality of education around the world. So we offer higher education solutions related to learning assessment and online learning. We also have higher education consulting solutions related to either academic quality or accreditation related issues, along with leadership and professional development workshops and seminars, which are delivered to you in person, online, or using hybrid methods. So I would like to hold a somewhat of an interactive webinar today, and there are multiple ways for you to participate. So please respond to the poll questions when they are presented to you, and feel free to ask your question, make a comment, or type in your question in the chat box. You're also welcome to raise your hand and to seek an opportunity to ask or speak while we are presenting. So feel free to do that. And Kayla is kindly will be monitoring the chat box and the question and the other panels for you to participate. So we do plan to leave hopefully 10-15 minutes at the end for a Q&A session. So you can also wait until the end to ask your questions. And if we don't get to answer your questions or get to your questions during this webinar, feel free to email your questions to Kayla or myself, and we'll be happy to respond to you afterwards. This webinar is being recorded, and at the end of the presentation, we'll be happy to share with you the link to the video recording of this presentation. Again, if you want a slide deck, email us, and we'll be happy to share it with you. So let's get to what are we going to talk in today's presentation. So we'll like to start with the always why, right? Why are soft skills? Why are we talking about it, right? And what are the challenges we face today? And what does it mean? And what is the purpose of instilling these soft skills, hopefully in our learners? And there's always a nexus with accreditation and also quality of your academic programs that you want to improve. And we do want to here, of course, discuss about the ways to not only develop the workplace readiness skills and competencies, but also how do we actually assess it, right? And that's the most challenging part. And at Peregrine, we have developed EvaluSkills, a soft skills assessment tool, which is a solution to evaluating the attainment of professional competencies and soft skills in our learners and graduates. So we'd like to cover first, and dive a little deeper into what do we mean by professional skills, right? Professional skills are a combination of people skills, social skills, communication skills, and character or personality traits that enable you to navigate your environment and work well with others. Now, these professional skills are career competencies that are often not taught or acquired as part of our students' academic coursework, right? And then over the last years, there have been countless studies, research reports, and media outlets that have highlighted significant skill gaps found in our workforce. Workplace skills, also often referred to as soft skills, are personal qualities necessary for situational awareness and workplace effectiveness. Now, we all know all too well that these skills include adaptability, communication, and creative thinking. And we all have been witness how all of these skills have been asked more and more, especially in the last year, the year that we've all had, which is quite a challenging year, right? So over the years, employers in higher education institutions have found difficulty in defining, evaluating, and developing these skills. So if you go into the reports and studies, you know more than I do, I'm sure, many of them. And here's an example of the Wall Street Journal article from a 2016 employer survey, where it stated that 92% of executives consider soft skills as equally important as technical skills. And then 60% of the human resource managers stated that lack of soft skills in leadership limits the company productivity levels. And then soft skill training study at 5 Bangalore factories yielded a 250% improvement on return on investment. And that's out of a study conducted by MIT in 2018. So these are really significant results, right? And then the Society of Human Resource Management out of the US also put out a report in 2019 where it noted that skill shortages in new graduates entering the workforce is getting wider and wider. And they identified the top missing soft skills, which were, again, there's no surprise in this list, right? Problem solving, communication, critical thinking, innovation and creativity, ability to deal with complexity and ambiguity, which has come to be tested even more so in the last year, and adaptability. So there's also another report by Stanford Research Institute that came out of the Carnegie Mellon. There's an M missing, I'll correct that, in 2019 that said Fortune 500 CEOs mentioned 75% of long-term job success depends on people skills, while only 25 on technical knowledge. So there's many other studies and research reports, and I'm sure some of you might be conducting those yourselves. And then just time after time, the skills that are identified to be the most important and sought after in the industry are leadership, management, and communication. So I wanted to ask, what are you doing? What are schools doing, right? Because you are representing your institutions. So I'd like to ask our first poll question. So it's a simple one. If you could just share with us, do you teach or develop your learners' workplace readiness soft skills as part of your academic program? And more and more academic programs are incorporating these career readiness, right? Work readiness competency skills into academic programs. So I see the responses are coming in. Thank you. And I'd like to reach at least, well, we already reached 50. So hopefully if we can get 75% of our participants respond. And the good news with our participants of this particular workshop, I see that 70% of you, I can end it here, and I'm very happy to see that 70% of you have some form of offering on improving soft skills of your learners as part of your academic program. So that's great news. So I'm, preaching to the choir, as they say. I do want to just bring one other organization called National Association of Colleges and Employers. And it's an organization that forms a bridge between higher education institutions and human resource professionals. And it is based out of the US. And through some interactive process involving both higher education and human resource recruiting staff of more than 600 employers, NACE has identified these 8 critical competencies that represent what career service professionals should be helping their students achieve and what employers are broadly looking for in their potential hirees. So as they, again, pretty, typical and something that we all expect to see, those following categories are expressed in terms of critical thinking and problem solving, oral and written communication, teamwork and collaboration, digital technology, information technology application is a big part of today's workforce, as we all know, leadership, professionalism and work ethic, and that's time tested, of course, universal value, career management, and the next comes, the last but not least, global intercultural competency. So I also wanted to find out, what are you doing as a school, right? So here's my next poll, if you could answer this question, which is, do you have a standalone? We just learned 70% of you have some form of offerings to improve and develop the learners' workplace readiness skills. But do you have a standalone, specifically designed modules or courses for teaching and developing these soft skills, right? And then based on your previous answer, I'm pretty optimistic. But so far, the numbers are tracking 50-50. And what I mean is, do you have a course that's titled Career Readiness that actually covers interpersonal communications, or relationships, or how to manage your career, or what are the skills that are required to be successful for your learners and graduates once they enter workforce? And I do have 70% of you voted already. Thank you. And let me share the results. So the results are, in terms of designated standalone courses, about 43% of you have it, but majority of you, 57, do not have it yet, I hope. So then I'm really hoping that you'll get some good ideas and solutions from today's presentation that you can bring and try at your institutions. So I see there's a, can you just share the previous slide, as someone is asking? Which slide was it? Okay, let me see which slide you meant. Did you mean this NACI slide?
It wasn't from, it was from the B3 Piran, but can you specify which slide that you mean?
And email me and I'll be happy to send you the PDF file of the today's presentation so you can have it as well. Okay. So here are, thank you for responding to this poll question. And, in order to respond to the need for soft skills training, right, a number of schools are becoming quite innovative in terms of the ways they develop and enhance and offer these soft skills. There are also great best practices of how schools are assessing soft skills, which is the most challenging part. And here are some of the ways to develop soft skills in your learners, right? And many of you are already doing it, and especially you have MBA programs that partner with the industry and companies to offer your students internships or some form of in-business experiences. And we do it really well in MBA programs. And we all know that experiential learning or action learning is a big component of really honing and developing these skills, right? And there are many best practices of case studies and case competitions that schools are offering. Simulation exercises are becoming more and more often. And there are many cross-program or transversal student projects. And then even just participating in a student government association or any of the extra curricular, extra academic programs that your learners are involved could help them with the really improving their workplace readiness skills. And some of the other examples we have is, you have entrepreneurial incubator centers or small and medium-sized business consulting. And I have great many examples to share with you, but let's get to the topic of today's presentation, which is now how do we assess soft skills? But before that, again, let's start with why do we need to assess soft skills, right? And here are some of the common reasons why we do that. Not only when you assess something, you know where you are and you know how to improve, right? That's the key point. If you measure something, you can see, you can identify certain areas of improvement, or if you're doing something really wonderfully, you can keep continuing and sustaining that area, right? But just to come back in terms of academics, a lot of the times our national or international or just specialized programmatic accreditors require to measure learning outcomes related to soft skills, right? But also you want to be able to satisfy employer expectations for career-ready graduates. And you want to be able to help your graduates to not only get employed, but also be successful at their places of employment. But we do want to also demonstrate attainment of career readiness competencies of your learners using these assessment tools. And then most importantly, you want to provide your learners with some actionable feedback for continued skill development. And then the next, which is not here, is that you want to be able to create a program. But if you already have a program, you want to be able to measure its effectiveness, right? But we all know it is really hard to assess soft skills. And some of the challenges come in the form of how do you even start identifying which soft skills you need to be assessing, or which soft skills you should be incorporating into your program as part of your academic learning program, right? But there's also a lack of standardization, right, in terms of different categories of soft skills. Most often, these competencies come as one-dimensional, and then just the term itself, soft skills, could be quite misleading. It's very hard to take subjectivity out of assessing someone on something that's so intangible. There's always that intrinsic bias that exists there. And then just, to have an objective assessment is really valuable to understand your performance, your program, your individual students' attainment of these competencies, not only for meeting your accreditation purposes, as I've just mentioned, but also for your individual students' personal development and providing feedback. So when we measure soft skills, right, we are able to demonstrate the learning outcomes, as I've just mentioned, requirements for program and institutional accreditation, and you are able to strengthen the workforce in your community, in your city, in your town, by developing career-ready graduates. And you do want to be able to help your learners to not only get the job, but also keep it. And most importantly, you want to build that culture. You want to provide that culture or instill it in your learners of, this continuous actionable feedback that instills continuous improvement, not only for personal, but also professional development. And then you want to be able to determine areas for your programmatic improvement. So I still, in terms of assessment, here's just another quick poll I'd like to offer to you. And in this round, I would like to find out if you as an institution or an academic program assess each soft skill that students are expected to develop during their program of study. And I really like the first response that 70% of you do have some forms of modules or courses that you offer to really help your learners to develop and instill these career readiness skills. But also assessing it as a whole another ballgame, right? And that's why I'm sure you're attending this workshop to learn and understand more how it could be done effectively and hopefully in a most streamlined and then efficient way. And that's what we're here to offer you. So the responses are coming in, and thank you. I already got the 70% of you respond. And then, so there's, okay, I got more than 75%. Thank you for responding to this question. And there's only, 6% said, yes, we do have a separate assessment for soft skills, which is quite understandable. And I see why you're attending today's session. And then a third of you say you have some form of assessment that covers part of, other learning modules, but then a combination of both is 44%, but, good 20% of you say you do not assess soft skills at all. Okay. So then, one of the reasons, as I've just mentioned, and I'm sure it's a reason valid for you, is you want to assess soft skills as part of your learning outcomes to meet your accreditation requirements, right? And most often, learning outcomes assessment and incorporating career readiness skills as part of your learning outcomes is a criteria set out by your quality assurance agency, be it national, international, or specialized programmatic, and so forth, or institutional. So as with all of Peregrine's assessment services, we have assessment services for hard skills, business knowledge areas, critical thinking, as well as soft skills. EvaluSkills is the tool we offer you, and it also fulfills this accreditation nexus. We here at Peregrine work very closely with a number of partner associations, including, of course, AAPBS and accrediting agencies, right? And be it your specialized programmatic accreditor like AACSB or ACBSB, or many of the international or Asian schools seek institutional accreditation by what used to be called U.S. Regional accreditors like WASC, NIASC. That's the Association of Colleges out of western part of the U.S. and New England and so forth. But recently they became national. So okay, now let's come to EvaluSkills, and that's the tool I'm most excited to introduce to you as a solution for measuring and developing soft skills, right? As I mentioned briefly, Peregrine offers online learning solutions and assessment solutions, but also we started out with Peregrine Leadership Institute. And as such, Peregrine Leadership Institute provided in-person workshops and one-on-one coaching and mentoring to develop new leaders, and most of the work was done in industry. So part of the leadership program was developing self-awareness through the use of 360-degree evaluations. And if you have worked, and most of your probably MBA students have had to face some sort of evaluation, be it personality test, MBTI, or 360-degree evaluation, and so forth. So we have been using it a lot in our workshops. But then over the years with our academic work, Peregrine Academic Services, now of course we are all one Peregrine Global Services, we recognize that in higher education, there was a high need for soft skills assessment. So we adapted the concept of our 360-degree evaluation used in industry to provide students with valuable feedback on their interpersonal skills, and also help programs to evaluate their attainment and their effectiveness in developing these skills in their learners. So as responded in the previous poll question, you did mention that, well, there was 6% that mentioned you were assessing soft skills, but EvaluSkills is really here to help you, for the rest of you, 94%, to fill in that gap of evaluating and measuring soft skills. So what is soft skills? As I mentioned, it is a 360-degree based evaluation, and it's an online tool, and it utilizes the perspectives of evaluators, right? So in our case, the participants are our students, the learners. You can also use it, of course, for your faculty development, but let's stick to academic use, which is our learners will be the participants who are seeking feedback from their professors or instructors, could be faculty or staff, academic advisors, or peers, or supervisors if they had internships or prior work experience. And if they've had prior work experience, they also have coworkers and bosses and supervisors. So it's really ideal for MBA programs. Now, the feedback is given as an objective measure of the student's competency level in each of the soft skills that you select as relating to your learning outcomes and learning goals. So we are more than happy to sit down and work with you on your learning outcomes and help you map your learning goals to our database of soft skills. Now, the evaluation process allows you to understand the areas of strengths and opportunities for improvement using these comprehensive results reports, which help you to develop action plans for continued personal growth of your learners as well as for your entire program. So let's go over some definitions so we have a common language, right? And then when we say the assessment item, the first column, now this is the list of soft skills you can choose from our database that might match up with your learning outcomes. So we have utilized the NACCE competencies, as I have just shared with you earlier, to group these skills. So it's easier to find them and allocate and so forth. So if any of these relate to your learning outcomes and you want to measure them, those are the skills you would select as assessment items. So we also have built-in instrument templates. We have about 8 to 12 of them that you could just take and use it, which are most commonly used in MBA programs or in various programs. And then once you like a template that we have, or you can create your own template for sure, that will be customized and flexible tool for really, really aligning to your particular goals. Or you can select an existing template, and then we call that an assessment. So you can identify your participants, and you can give it a due date, and you can start the cycle of assessment by activating an assessment. So the participants, as I mentioned, are your students, right, who are looking to receive feedback on their performance. And the evaluators are the team of people that have been chosen to evaluate that individual student and give a well-rounded feedback to that participant. So we recommend to have anywhere from 3 to 5 evaluators because the data from the evaluators is averaged and provided to the participant. Now, the most important thing, and of course, the most valuable thing you're looking for is the reports. So the reports are available to both the individual participant and for the group as a whole. If you are an academic administrator, looking to see where the strengths and weaknesses of your academic program might lie. So as I mentioned, this is a very flexible and customizable instrument. And if you like a template that we already have pre-built for you, you can delete items, you can add items, and you can make it even more relevant to your particular program. As I mentioned, we have a database of 200 plus soft skills, and then each soft skill comes with its own evaluation rubric. And that's a really nice feature because by having this rubric helps to take the subjectivity out of the assessment, right? And I don't think you would need to do that, but you can write or develop your own skills or rubrics and add it to the assessment. But given that we have a database of 200 plus skills, I have a feeling we have covered it pretty well. So with the evaluation rubric, right? For each skill, we provide you a sample behavior. So from 1 through 5, you will see what does it mean to be 1? What does it mean to be 5, right? So sample behaviors are given to go along with each skill, and that in turn gives the evaluators a greater sense of what is meant by competent, for example, or exceeds expectation. So here's an analogy that we like to provide of creating an instrument, right? So you order a pizza, right? You at a restaurant, they have several pizzas on the menu, pre-made, or you can build your own. So in our EvaluSkills, the ingredients are the assessment items, right? So in the individual skills you want to assess, it could be dependability, it could be innovation, it could be critical thinking. And to make your pizza, you can choose as I mentioned, from the available instrument templates or create your very own unique pizza. So I hope that helps to make it a little clearer. All right. So let's see, any questions so far? Okay, good, good. So let's see. So our menu of instrument templates, as I mentioned, includes several pre-made options. And let's see. So there's a lot of stuff I can cover, but essentially you create your instrument, right? And then you save it. And once you save it, you can actually share the instrument with your colleagues to make sure that you included everything that you needed to include, and you can go through a final round, and you can make it final. So the nice thing is there's an instrument report that you as an instrument administrator can run, and once you will have evaluators and participants, you will see that they also will be able to run this report to see in full length what this assessment really entails, right? And also they'll be able to see what each rubric looks like. So what are they being tested on? And they'll also get a good understanding of sample behaviors of, what does it mean to be exceptional, excellent, or competent? And as I mentioned, we have talked about the difficulty of having an objective evaluation for measuring soft skills in others, right? So the rubrics will assist you in measuring items that feel quite intangible, right? And then each assessment item's rubric of statements and sample behaviors helps you to reduce individual subjectivity. So for example, here's a critical thinking and problem solving skills assessment item, right? And then we have the ratings from 5 down to 1, and it provides those sample behaviors. So for the exceptional person, they are naturally creative. They can work backwards and imagine steps that will lead to the desired result. And these give the evaluators some solid criteria for measuring for what is my experience with this particular participant, right? What is their performance actually like? So if it is more objective that way, and then they give their own, evaluation, and they can select from 1 through 5 ranking. Evaluators can also give a written feedback. It'll be anonymous to the participant. They will not know who provide which individual feedback. We just collect the different written feedbacks and then provide them as a list to the participants so they can, really look, and they don't have to link individual, of course, comments to a particular evaluator. But most importantly, they will be able to see which might be the perceived weaknesses, right? And how to mitigate and how to improve upon those results. Now, we have a very easy to use interface, and I don't need to mention much. If you want to give it a try, I'd be happy to demo it with you. But essentially, you as an administrator, you'll have very easy to use tool to manage the participants, the evaluators. You could be running multiple different instruments. If you have, I know you have graduate students as members of the AAPBS, but if you also have specializations within those programs, you might have accounting students that rely heavily more critical thinking aspects of soft skills, right? Maybe you have marketing students who need to develop more of the interpersonal, more of the communication, presentation skills. So you could be running multiple instruments at the same time. So it's very easy to use userface, which we provide to you. Can we see the slide bigger, please? I'm not sure if I'm able to zoom in, but again, I'll be happy to share the slides with you. So hopefully you'll be able to see it closer then. Now here's a question: whether the participant will see only their results or will get comparative results. Good question. I'm coming to it right now. So participants will see their results and also group averages, in short. And when we come to participant report section, you'll see what is included and what the participants see. All right, so you as an administrator, you have your list of students, list of learners, and different programs with different instruments. And then there are multiple ways to allow evaluators to be selected, right? One is, as an administrator, you can assign evaluators for each participant, but participants have an ability to select their own evaluators and provide information about their evaluators. And as I mentioned, there is a minimum number of evaluator is required. And that's just for the sake of getting good, valid data, right? If you have just 2 evaluators, but if you have 3, you can have average, and you can have, especially if you provide written feedback, then there's that anonymity and in a little better sense, so forth, right? So, or you can use a combination of both. Some evaluators might be assigned, like your thesis advisor is a must and assigned evaluator, but the others learner can select. And so once the administrator has gone through the assessment cycle and they, assign or participants select who the evaluators are, they can actually live track all the progress. So this particular graph I'm showing you shows progress at 2 different points in time. This could also be 2 separate cohorts if you wanted to see how well each group is performing against the others. And depending on the program, right? As I mentioned, not all programs will have the same importance placed on certain soft skills. So, for example, creativity and innovation might be stronger in a marketing program, as I mentioned, or attention to detail might be a greater focus if you have an accounting program. But you will have an ability to compare different groups' results against each other. You can also compare results of incoming MBA students against those that have graduated or have done some internships to see if they have improved or built upon certain performance categories or competencies. So then you can also use this for evaluating effectiveness of internship programs and so forth. So I know there's a lot of stuff I can share, but I can go quickly. So the participants have a role, of course. They need to create their account. They need to log into the platform. They need to upload a profile and a picture, which is always helpful to the evaluators to have a face to the name. And then they, of course, select the evaluators or choose a variety of people from different organizations or different levels of organization. And they can also download the instrument report. They can also participants can complete a self-evaluation. And when I was talking to one of the deans of a school in Asia, he really liked the concept of his MBA students learning to self-evaluate. And in his program, the students did not get much experience of evaluating themselves, right? Looking at their own competencies and skills. So that's what he was interested in using it for his MBA students. And then students can run a participant report once the assessment cycle is closed. And I'll show you the participant report, what it looks like shortly. And then within the participant report, there's a built-in action plan, which learners can use for their professional development. So again, very easy to use, interface for participants. They can check the status of pending assessments. They can run a report on their individual results, download a copy of the assessment instrument, or they can also send an email reminder to the evaluator who might be dragging their feet. As a general rule of thumb, if with your participants, I would recommend send an invitation for EvaluSkills to more people, because people get busy, things happen. And if you ask 5 to 8 people to provide your feedback, maybe you'll see responses back from 3 to 5 people, just to kind of cover your bases. That would be my recommendation. But so for the evaluators, there's a question. I just wanted to make sure whether the participant. Okay, so we already answered. Thank you. Is there another question? Okay, so the evaluators also have a role. They create their platform, profile, password. And the nice thing with this interface is if you have multiple students who have sought your feedback, then it's really easy to manage those separate evaluations. And you can run, again, those instrument reports, especially if you have students in multiple different programs, and kind of get a refresher as to which instrument covers what assessment skills and areas, but also refresh in terms of rubrics. What are the evaluation criteria, right? And then if you have gone through an evaluation cycle as an evaluator, and then maybe and we're all familiar with it when you were teaching courses, grading assignments or evaluating anyone, that from the first one or two, you're a little, new to the instrument, learning the rubrics, learning the different skills. But as you become more familiar, you get, better equipped and you become more consistent. So if you wanted to go back into your early evaluations and then review and make changes, you can also do that through this platform. So here's more about the Evaluator Experience and then how to submit an evaluation, which is pretty intuitive. And just one thing I wanted to mention is once the minimum number of evaluations have been completed, the participant can generate the individual results report. So unless your evaluations have been completed, you're not able to run your report for understandable reasons. And it's all done in the system automatically. And wanted to mention that all responses are confidential and not attributed or associated to any particular evaluator. So here's a question. Oh, someone is having a problem seeing the slides. Are you able to see it fully, Kayla? Yeah, Kayla can see it on her end.
Yeah, actually, I do see the screen so clearly. It's maybe because it's your screen setting.
It could be your individual settings.
If you cannot see the slides, maybe it's your screen setting. Maybe you could adjust your screen setting to see the view, because I do see it well.
Okay, so maybe on your end, you can do Control Plus, maybe zoom in, or maybe you can maximize on your end. So hopefully, yeah, you will be able to see it better. My apologies. I think we're okay on this end. All right, thank you, Kayla. So kind of coming back to the beef, and the reason why you probably use the assessment is you want to get real good data, right? Real good insight and actionable information and insight into where your students are relative with respect to individual soft skills, and also where your program is. If you have an assessment plan, if you have a program or course or module built into your program to help your learners develop these career readiness skills. So as I mentioned, the participant reports are available once the assessment is completed. All evaluators have submitted their evaluations, and then they receive information about their individual self-assessment, also average of the evaluators on their competencies, and also they'll be able to see the average for the group that is going through this assessment instrument. As I mentioned, participant action plan report is built into the participant report. And then the next report, especially if you are an administrator or a program director, that you might be most interested is group reports. And then group reports provide average for the participants' self-evaluations, also average for all the evaluator scores for the group, and then breakdown of those who performed significantly higher or lower than the group average in each of the individual skills. So here's an example of a participant report. Well, thank you, Kayla, for answering the chat questions. Okay, so here's an example of a participant report, right? And each of the different skills are listed on the left-hand side, and the averages, average mean evaluator rating is the blue horizontal line, and then the blue vertical line, and the green horizontal lines show where participant scores lie relative to the average score, right, above or below. Next example of a participant report is a breakdown of actually a picture of individual competencies, right? So in this case, it's emotional intelligence is the soft skill that is being assessed. And then there's the self score 4.0 of this learner, of this student, evaluator average was 3.8. So the student was a bit more optimistic about his or her ability in this case, but the group average was 4.15. And then you can see which evaluators, scored where, and then where the mean average for this particular skill for that learner. So we talked about the action plan, but essentially it helps you to highlight the strengths to sustain for a particular individual learner, and then it highlights the weaknesses to improve. And then there's also a piece where it asks for a timeline and a person who could hold the learner accountable for making improvements. So that's what the action plan looks like. It gives you a definition of that particular skill. In this case was improve. The weakness to improve was being open-minded. And what is the definition? The self-score. What is the evaluator score? And then what actions to take in order to mitigate that particular perceived weakness? And then what is the deadline you want to complete those actions? And who is the person who's going to work with you to complete this particular task? So it's kind of, you can have all the good plans, you can have all the good actions and activities and tasks listed, but unless you're able to hold yourself accountable, or unless you can have someone else also to hold you accountable, and with a deadline, it's hard to make improvements, right? So I wanted to go through the group report and open up the floor quickly for your further questions. But group reports essentially provide information about the overall strengths and the developmental areas of your academic program, as you must have guessed already, and also of your different student cohort groups or for your organization. Now, this information can be quite valuable in planning curriculum changes or identifying the developmental needs of a particular group. So additionally, using pre-tests and post-tests to measure improvement in workplace readiness skills can illustrate how a program has influenced the development of those skills over time. You can also see who are your top performers and who might be in need of assistance from these reports. There's also a group report page that helps you to really easily identify what is the area of your group's strength, and in this case is accountability. And also from the highest to the lowest, the donut goes around and helps you to see that valuing diversity could be an area that you could work on and improve upon results. So what are the different ways to, apply this, right? If you have a graduate program, you can use the EvaluSkills as a pre-program and a post-program assessment to directly measure learning outcomes related to soft skills. Now, the action plan from the pre-program assessment is used by the students for skill development throughout the academic degree program. So you can start at the beginning of the program, and you can use this all throughout the program with the completion of the cycle with the post-test, which would be most valuable for evaluating your academic program. You can use it as part of your staff or faculty development program, not only as a traditional 360-degree assessment, by utilizing your mission, vision, and values of your organization. So we do have a white paper that includes case studies by, this is Wyższa Szkoła Bankowa Gdańsk out of Poland. We also have a Mountain West Credit Union Association case study. So if you wanted to receive a copy of these white papers with case studies, please let us know and we'd be happy to share it with you. And sort of in conclusion, having a flexible, customizable assessment instrument provides you with an assessment that is mapped to your learning outcomes, right? And to the competencies that are relevant to your particular program. So as I've mentioned, you can add your own items, or in the case of the Gdańsk University, they actually have translated our EvaluSkills assessment tool into Polish, so they could use it better in their executive MBA program. Now, having standardized rubrics is critical to that objectivity and consistency of evaluations. An administrative site to manage the process saves valuable time and resources through automation and ease of administration of the assessment. And most importantly, an ability to access your data and reports whenever you need them. We do have a very capable team of client engagement managers. They're always happy to train you or to run the reports or just to tackle any technical issues. So you will be in really great hands if you decide to utilize this particular tool. Now, participant action plans are imperative to identifying blind spots, helping to mitigate them, to sustain strengths, and to, of course, to improve upon weaknesses. And group reports, in conclusion, provide information about the overall strengths and developmental area needs of your organization, program, or a student cohort. Now, this information can be valuable in planning curriculum changes or identifying the developmental needs of a particular group. So additionally, using pre and post tests to measure improvement in workplace skills can illustrate how a program has influenced the development of those skills over time. And then, as was announced through the AAPBS website, as a token of our appreciation and spending this hour with us, we would like to offer you free access to EvaluSkills, a soft skills assessment tool. So if you could let me know how can we help you and which of the tools you would like to have immediate access to, please do let us know. And would you like to receive a copy of the white paper and get an free access to EvaluSkills, this particular tool? If you would like to have a call or a meeting to discuss further details about this particular assessment tool, please do let me know. If you just wanted to talk overall your assessment plans in terms of hard skills, soft skills, and also critical thinking and so forth, please do indicate. And then if you just wanted to receive some communications about future webinars, activities, or solutions that Peregrine provides, please do let me know. And have I launched it? Yes, I have. Okay, well, thank you for responding. You really want to have access to EvaluSkills. I appreciate that. And the white paper, I'll send you the link to the white paper. And you also want an email with more information. Thank you for letting me know your preferences. And then with that, I know how much time we have. Oh, any other questions? I know Kayla has been responding to the chat questions. Thank you for that.
No problem. If you have any further question after you receive the clip of the link to this session or the slides, and you could still email us regarding any questions. And if you want to further develop, or if you need help from setting up your soft skill evaluation, you could contact Alima. And same time next week, we'll go on with the webinar number 3. It's online interactive experiential learning. It's a one-day strategy simulation webinar. It'll be exciting. That she'll show you how to simulate all those strategies that we've been discussing for the past 2 webinars. So looking forward to. Hope you see everybody next week.
Thank you very much, and look forward to discussing a simulation that we offer next week. Thank you, Kayla, and thank you everyone for spending this time with us.